Introduction. Why we need a holistic detox. In today's world, most of us are living under constant pressure, even if we don't always realize it. The demands of work, family responsibilities, an environment full of pollution, fast food, processed products, and the relentless pace of modern life all combine to create a silent storm inside our bodies and minds. We often shrug it off. That's just life. But the truth is sobering. Our bodies, our emotions, and even our thoughts are being poisoned, little by little, every single day. Toxins come in many forms. They are not just the pesticides on our produce, the additives in packaged food, or the exhaust we breathe in during traffic. They also take the form of unprocessed emotions, anger, anxiety, resentment that we carry for years. They show up as destructive thought patterns and limiting beliefs. I'm not good enough. I don't deserve to be happy. Stress is just part of success. Just as a body overloaded with junk food and chemicals can't function well, a heart weighed down by negative feelings cannot find peace, and a mind trapped in narrow beliefs cannot see clearly. When the body, the heart, and the mind are all cluttered with toxins, we inevitably fall into cycles of fatigue, illness, unhappiness, and a lack of purpose. That's why holistic detox is no longer a luxury or a passing health trend. It has become a necessity. And by detox, I don't mean a 3-day juice cleanse or a fad diet promising you'll drop 10 pounds in a week. Holistic detox is not about extremes. It's about gently cleansing all 3 levels of your being, body, mind, and spirit, so that you can return to your natural state of balance. It means giving your body the tools to release physical toxins, teaching your heart to let go of emotional baggage, and guiding your mind to shed limiting beliefs. When these 3 layers are cleansed together, something powerful happens. You reconnect with your true vitality, clarity, and peace of mind. Let's start with the body. Our liver, kidneys, lungs, skin, and colon are incredible detox machines. They are designed to filter out waste and keep us alive. But in today's environment, they are overwhelmed. The liver has to process alcohol, medication, fried oils, and chemicals from food. The kidneys are overloaded with excess salt and sugar. The lungs are constantly exposed to polluted air. The skin, our largest organ, is clogged with synthetic cosmetics. And the colon, the body's trash chute, struggles to move the backlog of processed food and low-fiber meals. When these organs are pushed past their capacity, toxins accumulate and chronic illness follows. A holistic detox supports these organs, lightens their load, and allows them to do the work they were designed to do: heal and restore. But cleansing the body is only part of the story. Our emotional world also collects toxins. Think of the last time you held on to resentment, bottled up your stress, or replayed an argument in your mind. These emotions, if left unprocessed, don't just vanish. They settle into the nervous system, disrupt sleep, weaken immunity, and even manifest as chronic pain or digestive issues. Modern psychology and medical research now confirm what ancient traditions have always taught. Long-term stress and unresolved emotions are at the root of many chronic diseases. Emotional detox doesn't mean denying or suppressing feelings. It means acknowledging them, releasing them, and learning healthier ways to respond. When you free your emotional system from this baggage, you don't just feel lighter. You also prevent your body from breaking down under the hidden weight of stress. Then there's the mind, perhaps the most subtle but most powerful place where toxins accumulate. Many of us grow up with beliefs handed down by culture, family, or society. Health problems are just genetics. If you slow down, you'll fall behind. Money equals happiness. These thought patterns often go unquestioned, but they quietly govern our choices and shape our lives. If you believe stress is unavoidable, you will keep creating a stressful lifestyle. If you believe you're too weak to change, you will never start. Holistic detox for the mind is about cleaning out these limiting beliefs and replacing them with empowering ones. It's about learning to see yourself not as a victim of circumstance, but as someone capable of choosing differently. When the mind is cleared of clutter, new possibilities open up, and your life begins to shift in ways you never thought possible. So why do we need holistic detox? Because health today cannot be reduced to the absence of disease. It's not enough to have a body free of pain if your heart is full of bitterness. It's not enough to meditate for peace while feeding your body junk. True wellness comes only when body, mind, and spirit are aligned. When each part of you is nourished and clean. A clean body is the foundation. A calm mind is the guide. And an open heart is the fuel for a meaningful life. Imagine a life where you wake up energized, take a deep breath of fresh morning air, and smile as the sun rises. You enjoy a simple but nourishing breakfast, go through your day with focus, treat others with kindness, and fall asleep with gratitude in your heart. That's not a fantasy. It's what happens naturally when your system is free from toxins. The beauty of holistic detox is that it doesn't require perfection or expensive programs. It starts with simple choices: a glass of warm lemon water in the morning, 10 minutes of mindful breathing, swapping a fast food meal for a colorful salad, writing down 3 things you're grateful for each night. Small steps, practiced daily, accumulate into deep transformation. This book was written to guide you on that journey. It will not hand you rigid formulas or demand impossible discipline. Instead, it will offer principles, tools, and stories that you can adapt to your own life. Because holistic detox is not one size fits all. It's a personal path. Whether you are young or old, struggling with illness, or simply feeling stuck, there is always a place to begin. And the best time to start is now. Think of this book as a map. It will point you toward the paths that lead to clarity, health, and peace. But you are the traveler. You must take the steps. Don't worry about speed. Just keep moving forward. Over time, you will witness the miracle. Your body grows stronger, your mind calmer, and your spirit more open. That is the ultimate reason we need holistic detox. Not just to survive, but to truly live, to rediscover ourselves, to embrace life fully, and to share the best version of ourselves with the world. Chapter 1. Understanding health and the root causes of illness. When most people think about health, the first thing that comes to mind is the absence of disease. If you're not sick, then you're healthy. If the blood test looks normal, everything must be fine. But this narrow definition of health is incomplete and in many ways dangerous. True health is not simply the lack of symptoms. True health is energy, resilience, clarity of mind, and the ability to enjoy life fully. It's the harmony between the body, the emotions, and the mind. Without this balance, even a body that appears normal on paper can be quietly breaking down inside. Modern medicine has made incredible advances, yet it often focuses only on treating symptoms. You have high blood pressure? Take a pill. Trouble sleeping? Here's a sedative. Chronic pain? Another prescription. These interventions can bring short-term relief, but they rarely address the deeper cause. It's like mopping the floor while the faucet is still leaking. Temporary, but not transformative. Holistic health invites us to look deeper. Instead of asking, "How do I stop this symptom?" we ask, "What is this symptom trying to tell me about my life, my body, my choices?" To truly understand the root of illness, we must first recognize that the body is not a machine with isolated parts. It is a living ecosystem where every organ, cell, and hormone communicates in a complex web of signals. The food you eat affects your mood. Your stress levels influence your digestion. The quality of your sleep determines how well your immune system functions. This is why someone who eats fast food while working 80 hours a week will likely experience not just weight gain, but also anxiety, insomnia, and eventually chronic disease. Illness is never random. It is the body's way of signaling imbalance. Consider digestion. The gut is often called the second brain because it has its own nervous system and communicates constantly with the brain in your head. When your gut microbiome is out of balance, say, from too much sugar, antibiotics, or processed food, it doesn't just cause bloating or constipation. It also affects your mood, increasing anxiety and depression. It can weaken your immune system, making you more vulnerable to infections. In other words, what happens in the gut never stays in the gut. It ripples outward, influencing every part of your well-being. Stress is another silent toxin that disrupts the entire system. A little bit of stress can motivate us, but chronic stress, endless deadlines, financial worries, unresolved conflict keeps the body in fight or flight mode. The adrenal glands pump out cortisol, the heart races, blood sugar spikes. Over time, this constant alarm state burns out the nervous system, suppresses immunity, and paves the way for illness. Many people go to the doctor for migraines, ulcers, or fatigue without realizing that stress is the root cause. You can treat the headache, but until you address the stress, the pain will keep coming back. Equally important are our emotional patterns. Emotions are not abstract. They are biochemical events. Anger floods the body with adrenaline. Chronic sadness lowers serotonin. Resentment keeps the nervous system on edge. When emotions are ignored or repressed, they don't disappear. They lodge in the body, often showing up as tension, pain, or even chronic illness. Think of someone who carries years of bitterness. Shoulders hunched, stomach tight, sleep restless. Over time, that emotional toxicity manifests as very real physical disease. This is why holistic health insists that healing the body requires healing the heart. Then there are the toxins we willingly or unwillingly bring into our lives. Processed foods full of chemicals, pesticides on produce, artificial fragrances in our homes, the polluted air we breathe. These are physical stressors that overload the liver, kidneys, and colon. Imagine trying to clean your house while someone keeps dumping garbage in the living room. It's exhausting. That is what your body experiences when toxic inputs outpace its natural ability to clean itself. So what, then, is the true definition of health? Health is balance. It is the dynamic equilibrium between nourishment and elimination, work and rest, effort and relaxation, joy and challenge. It is not about being perfect, never getting sick, or eating flawlessly. It is about living in alignment with the body's natural rhythms, honoring its need for clean food, fresh air, movement, rest, and emotional release. Health is not a static state, but a daily practice. Every choice you make, every meal, every thought, every breath, either supports that balance or pushes you further away. This perspective changes everything. When you see health as balance, you stop obsessing over quick fixes and start cultivating sustainable habits. You stop fearing illness as an enemy and start listening to it as a teacher. A headache may be telling you to slow down. Indigestion may be reminding you to choose lighter foods. Fatigue may be your body's way of asking for rest or emotional release. The body is not against you. It is always speaking, always guiding you back toward balance. Understanding health in this way is the first step of holistic detox, because you cannot truly cleanse what you do not understand. If you see your symptoms as random accidents, detox will feel like a battle. But if you see them as messages, detox becomes a conversation, a way of listening, responding, and restoring harmony. That shift in perspective is the beginning of transformation. If health is balance, then disease is simply imbalance. This may sound obvious, but it's a radically different way of thinking compared to the conventional model of medicine, which often treats illness as an enemy to be defeated. From a holistic perspective, illness is not punishment or bad luck. It is feedback. It is your body's way of saying, something in the way you're living is out of alignment. Once you see disease as feedback, the question changes from, how do I fight this? To, what is this trying to teach me? Take chronic fatigue, for example. Conventional medicine may prescribe stimulants, antidepressants, or tell you to get more sleep. But fatigue is rarely just about sleep. It could be your body screaming for cleaner food, less stress, more oxygen, or emotional healing. It could be that your liver is overloaded, your gut microbiome is out of balance, or your nervous system has been in fight or flight mode for too long. The symptom, fatigue, is not the problem. It's the messenger. When you listen to it, you begin to uncover the real issue. This principle applies across the board. Headaches may point to dehydration, stress, or even unresolved anger. Skin problems like acne or eczema often reflect deeper issues in the gut or liver. Depression and anxiety can be linked not only to emotional trauma, but also to inflammation in the brain caused by diet or toxins. Every symptom is a signpost. The tragedy is that most people silence the signpost with a pill and never read the message. Understanding root causes also requires looking at lifestyle as a whole. Our modern world rewards busyness and productivity, but it often punishes rest and reflection. We live in artificial light, sit for hours at desks, stare at glowing screens, and fuel ourselves with caffeine and sugar. None of this aligns with the rhythms our bodies evolved to follow. Our ancestors rose with the sun, moved their bodies all day, ate food from the earth, and slept in darkness. Today, many of us rise to alarms before dawn, move only when we have to, eat food that comes from factories, and sleep poorly because of constant stimulation. The mismatch between our biology and our lifestyle is one of the deepest root causes of illness. Another overlooked factor is disconnection from nature, from community, and from ourselves. Studies show that loneliness is as harmful to health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Chronic isolation raises stress hormones, weakens the immune system, and accelerates aging. Yet in modern life, it is common to live surrounded by people but still feel profoundly alone. True health requires reconnection. To the earth through fresh air and sunlight, to others through authentic relationships, and to ourselves through self-awareness. Without this reconnection, even the best diet or exercise routine will feel incomplete. Spiritual traditions across the world, from indigenous wisdom to Eastern philosophies, have long taught that health is wholeness. The word heal itself comes from the same root as whole. To heal is to become whole again. This means no part of us can be ignored. We cannot separate the body from the mind or the mind from the spirit. Holistic health asks us to look at the entire picture. How we eat, how we breathe, how we think, how we feel, how we connect, how we rest. Illness shows up wherever that wholeness is broken. Let's take stress-related heart disease as an example. Doctors may prescribe cholesterol-lowering drugs, blood thinners, or even surgery. But if the patient continues to live in a high-stress environment, eat processed foods, and repress emotions, the root imbalance remains. Healing in this case requires more than a prescription. It requires slowing down, learning to breathe, eating clean food, expressing emotions, and finding meaning. Medication may save a life in the short term, but true healing restores wholeness in the long term. The root causes of illness, then, can be summarized in three interconnected categories: physical toxins, emotional toxins, and mental toxins. Physical toxins include chemicals, pollution, processed food, and sedentary habits. Emotional toxins include unresolved anger, grief, fear, and stress. Mental toxins include limiting beliefs, cultural conditioning, and negative self-talk. When these three accumulate, imbalance grows. When we begin to cleanse them, balance returns. This framework also explains why quick fixes don't last. You can do a 3-day juice cleanse, and yes, you might feel lighter. But if you return to the same stressful job, the same processed foods, the same toxic relationships, the deeper imbalance remains. Real transformation requires a holistic approach that touches all three layers of your being. It is not about extremes. It is about alignment. This doesn't mean you have to overhaul your life overnight. In fact, trying to change everything at once often backfires. What matters is awareness and small, steady shifts. Begin by noticing. How does your body feel after different meals? How does your energy change when you spend time in nature versus on a screen? How do you feel when you hold on to anger compared to when you release it? These observations become your compass. They show you where imbalance lives and where balance wants to return. Most importantly, recognizing the root causes of illness empowers you. Instead of seeing yourself as a victim of genetics or fate, you begin to see yourself as an active participant in your health. Yes, we inherit tendencies. Yes, accidents and unforeseen illnesses exist. But far more often, the trajectory of our health is shaped by the daily choices we make. What we eat, how we breathe, what we believe, how we love, and choices can be changed. This is why understanding health at its root is the foundation of holistic detox. Detox is not about punishing yourself or depriving yourself. It is about creating conditions where balance can naturally return. When the body is given clean food, fresh water, and movement, it detoxifies itself. When the mind is given rest, gratitude, and new perspectives, it detoxifies itself. When the heart is allowed to feel, forgive, and let go, it detoxifies itself. Detox is not something outside of you. It is the body's natural intelligence, activated by your choices. One of the biggest shifts in perspective comes when we realize that illness is not something happening to us, but something happening through us. In other words, it is not simply a random attack from outside forces, but the body's response to how we live, what we consume, and how we think and feel. Of course, bacteria and viruses exist, and of course, genetics play a role. But whether these external or internal factors become illness often depends on the terrain of the body, whether it is strong and balanced or weakened and vulnerable. This concept, sometimes called terrain theory, has been echoed for centuries by holistic practitioners. A healthy terrain resists disease, while a toxic terrain invites it. Think about the common cold. Some people catch colds frequently, while others rarely do. Why? It is not that one group is constantly being exposed to more germs. It is that their bodies are more susceptible due to stress, poor sleep, nutrient deficiencies, or emotional strain. The germs may be the trigger, but the terrain determines the outcome. The same is true for chronic illness. Two people may face similar environments, but the one with a cleaner body, calmer mind, and more resilient emotions is far less likely to develop disease. This is why a holistic view of health emphasizes prevention over cure. Instead of waiting until disease manifests and then fighting it with aggressive interventions, we can create a lifestyle that continuously supports the body's natural defenses. Prevention, in this sense, is not a checklist of screenings or vaccines. It is a way of living. It is choosing whole foods over processed ones, breathing deeply instead of rushing through the day, cultivating gratitude instead of resentment. It is these daily choices that keep the terrain healthy, which in turn keeps disease at bay. But prevention is not glamorous. Our culture often prefers dramatic interventions, the surgery that saves a life, the drug that eliminates pain instantly. Prevention, by contrast, requires patience and faith. You cannot measure the illnesses you never had, the heart attack you avoided, the depression you never slipped into. And yet prevention is the most powerful medicine. When you live in alignment with holistic principles, you may never fully realize how many problems you've avoided. But you will feel the difference in your energy, your mood, your clarity, and your resilience. Another important dimension of root causes is the role of meaning and purpose. More and more research shows that people with a strong sense of purpose live longer, recover faster, and experience better health overall. Conversely, people who feel hopeless, directionless, or disconnected are more likely to fall ill, regardless of their diet or exercise. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, famously wrote that those who have a why to live can bear almost any how. Purpose acts like an immune system for the soul. It gives us resilience against life's inevitable challenges. Without purpose, even a healthy body feels heavy. With purpose, even illness can be endured with grace. So where does illness truly begin? It begins in the subtle shifts we often ignore. The late nights that turn into chronic sleep debt. The stress that becomes a constant background hum. The fast food meal that becomes a daily habit. The anger we carry for years without release. None of these in isolation seem catastrophic. But over time, they accumulate. They tip the balance slowly until one day the body can no longer compensate. Illness may appear suddenly, but in reality, it has been years in the making. This is both sobering and empowering. It is sobering because it shows how our daily choices matter more than we often admit. But it is empowering because it means we have immense control over our health. Just as imbalance accumulates, so does healing. Every glass of clean water, every night of deep sleep, every moment of forgiveness is a step back toward balance. You don't need to reverse everything overnight. You just need to begin and keep going. The challenge, of course, is that our society does not make balance easy. We are constantly bombarded with messages to consume more, work harder, achieve faster. Processed food is cheap and convenient. Stressful lifestyles are glorified as ambition. Rest is seen as laziness. In this environment, imbalance feels normal, and balance can feel radical. But once you taste the freedom of true health, waking up with energy, moving without pain, feeling calm in your heart, you realize that balance is not radical at all. It is your birthright. In holistic traditions, illness is sometimes described as a teacher. This may feel uncomfortable, especially if you or someone you love is struggling with serious disease. It is not to romanticize suffering, but it is to acknowledge that illness often reveals truths we were unwilling to see otherwise. It may teach us to slow down, to let go of perfectionism, to value relationships, to change our diet, to breathe, to pray. Many people who recover from illness describe it as a turning point, the moment they began to truly live. If we approach illness as a teacher rather than an enemy, we open ourselves to learning and transformation. Ultimately, understanding health and disease in this way asks us to take responsibility. Not blame, but responsibility. Blame is heavy and paralyzing. Responsibility is light and empowering. To take responsibility is to say, I have a role in this, and I also have the power to change. It is to see ourselves not as passive patients, but as active participants in our healing. Doctors, therapies, and medicines can help, but they cannot live our lives for us. Only we can choose what we eat, how we breathe, what we think, and how we love. And those choices, compounded day after day, create the foundation for either illness or wellness. As we bring this first chapter to a close, it's important to pause and reflect on the deeper meaning of health. Too often, we think of health as a finish line. If we can just lose the weight, fix the lab results, or get rid of the pain, then we'll finally be healthy. But in truth, health is not a destination. It is a way of being, a process of alignment that unfolds day by day. Just as imbalance builds slowly over time, so does balance. And just as illness is not a single event, healing is not a single breakthrough. Both are journeys, woven into the choices we make every moment. One of the most liberating realizations is that healing is not about perfection. You don't have to eat the perfect diet, meditate flawlessly, or live stress-free to be healthy. Perfection is another form of imbalance, another way of chasing control. Real health is about rhythm and relationship. The rhythm of listening to your body, the relationship you have with your emotions, the way you treat your mind. If you slip, you simply return. Every return is a healing act. Consider this. A person who eats clean but lives in constant resentment is not truly healthy. A person who meditates daily but feeds their body fast food is not truly healthy. A person who exercises relentlessly but never allows themselves to rest is not truly healthy. Wholeness means integration. The body, mind, and spirit must all be nourished because each one influences the others. Health is not found in extremes, but in harmony. This holistic perspective also helps us move away from fear. In a culture where disease is constantly portrayed as lurking around every corner, it's easy to live in anxiety, afraid of cancer, heart attacks, pandemics. But fear itself is toxic. When we shift to a view of health as balance, fear gives way to empowerment. We no longer see ourselves as helpless targets of disease, but as active partners with our bodies. Yes, illness may come, as it does to all humans eventually, but we meet it not with panic, but with understanding. We ask, what is out of balance? What can I change? How can I support my body, heart, and mind right now? This is not wishful thinking. Science increasingly supports what ancient traditions have taught all along. Lifestyle, mindset, and emotions profoundly affect health outcomes. People who eat nutrient-rich diets, move their bodies daily, manage stress, and cultivate social connections are less likely to develop chronic disease and more likely to live longer, happier lives. Those who practice gratitude, forgiveness, and purpose tend to have stronger immune systems and faster recovery times. In other words, health is not an accident. It is a reflection of how we live. Another important takeaway is that health is deeply personal. No two bodies are exactly alike. No two minds carry the same beliefs. No two hearts have the same history. What creates balance for one person may not for another. This is why holistic detox is not about rigid rules, but about listening and adjusting. Your body speaks to you every day. It tells you when a food doesn't sit well, when rest is needed, when movement feels good, when a relationship drains you. The art of health is learning to listen, to trust those signals, and to respond with kindness. To make this practical, begin by asking simple questions throughout your day. How do I feel after eating this meal? Energized or sluggish? How do I feel after spending time with this person? Uplifted or drained? How do I feel after scrolling through social media? Inspired or anxious? How do I feel after 10 minutes of deep breathing? Calm or restless? Your answers are your guide. They reveal where balance lives and where imbalance hides. Over time, as you learn to honor these signals, you create a lifestyle that naturally supports your health. Holistic health is also about reclaiming your authority. Too often, we hand over our power to doctors, experts, or systems. While professional support is valuable, no one knows your body better than you do. You are the one who lives with it every moment. You are the one who feels its signals, its cravings, its fatigue, its joy. By learning to trust yourself, you step into the role of co-creator of your health. This is not about rejecting medicine. It is about integrating medicine with self-awareness, creating a partnership where external support meets internal wisdom. In the end, the root cause of most illness is disconnection. Disconnection from our bodies, from our emotions, from our true selves, and from the natural rhythms of life. Healing, therefore, is about reconnection. It is about remembering that your body is not your enemy, but your ally. That your emotions are not obstacles, but messengers. That your mind is not fixed, but flexible. And that you are not separate from nature, but part of its cycles of cleansing and renewal. As you move forward in this book, hold on to one central truth. Health is not about escaping illness. It is about embracing life, It is about living with energy, clarity, and purpose, no matter where you start. The journey begins not with a grand gesture, but with a simple choice: to listen, to learn, and to return to balance. That choice, repeated daily, is what creates true health. And so, the foundation is set. With a new understanding of health and the root causes of illness, you are ready to explore how holistic detox works in practice. How to cleanse the body, release the heart, and free the mind. This journey is not just about adding years to your life. It's about adding life to your years.